Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a philosophical framework that is just breathtakingly ambitious.
It really is.
If you have ever consumed, overwhelming amounts of data and felt like you were still miles away from genuine understanding, this deep dive is absolutely designed for you. We're analyzing a radical roadmap for self-mastery, one that claims it can convert mere information into profound, usable knowledge.
The state the author calls wisdom.
Exactly.
That's precisely right. Our source material today is extracted from chapter02.pdf, which is a piece of a much larger sweeping philosophical and cosmological text.
It's a huge work.
A huge work, yeah. It's titled The Legend Mind, Zero to Infinity. The author is Sonu Kumar, or SKR, who writes under this incredibly powerful moniker, Legend.
So our mission for this deep dive is to get granular. Really granular. We're going to rigorously analyze the author's proposed path to enlightenment, focusing specifically on Chapter 2, Ladder Toward Wisdom.
And when you say granular, you mean it.
I do.
Yeah.
We need to break down SKR's material in, painstaking detail, almost like running through the script of a profound movie, scene by scene,
I like that analogy.
to extract the practical steps and the philosophical implications for you, the curious learner. The idea here is that this is not passive learning. This is an instructional manual for transforming your internal operating system.
And to really understand the intensity of the steps that SKR demands, we have to start at the beginning. We first have to establish the philosophical and spiritual ground rules of the text.
Right.
The choice of the name legend, for example. It's so deliberate. It's far more than just some aspirational label.
Yes, the name itself functions as an acronym, and it immediately establishes this moral landscape for the entire work.
It's laid out right at the very beginning.
It is. So,
Has to be.
L is for legacy, E for even, G for God, E for end, N for not, and D for demons.
What's fascinating here is just the sheer scale of the conflict established by that acronym. I mean, it's an immediate declaration.
It really is.
He's saying the legend mind is built within the context of an eternal, moral, and spiritual battleground. It connects the concept of an individual legacy, the L, to this transcendent timeline.
A cosmic time.
A cosmic one, yeah. Suggesting that even as cosmic cycles end, and this is the even God and not part, the struggle against the forces of darkness and ignorance, the demons, is the defining feature of a life worth living.
So it elevates the whole pursuit of wisdom. It's not just personal self-help anymore.
Not at all. It becomes a cosmic duty.
It's a very high bar.
Yeah.
And that intense worldview is immediately reinforced by the dedication provided in the text. This is a crucial piece of context.
Absolutely crucial.
The work is dedicated to my immortal guru, the Lord Shiva.
And this dedication is really the philosophical cornerstone for the entire practice he outlines in Chapter 2. In the acknowledgments, SKR explicitly states his inspiration.
He does.
He was greatly influenced by watching Lord Shiva's role portrayed on television, and specifically, he aspired to emulate a life with zero attraction of the world.
Zero attraction.
Zero. And this non-worldly model of existence, it directly motivated his decision to start living alone, to find answers to these profound, striking questions he had in his mind.
So the foundation of the legend mind isn't just, self-improvement in the way we might think of it. It's a deliberate, conscious, and radically detached existence.
Modeled after a deity who literally embodies renunciation.
Right. And that tells you immediately that the path to wisdom in this text is going to demand a radical break from the ordinary, from the consumers, or even just the socially connected life.
If your guru is the archetype of detachment, your practice has to mirror that detachment. It's that simple.
And this search for answers, this spiritual quest, it's not executed through near faith alone. That's another key point.
No, it's achieved through what SKR calls an interdisciplinary approach.
Yeah.
He's not content with finding answers in just one discipline. He wants total synthesis.
Exactly. The preface promises the book aims to be eye-opening for those who want to do great work. And to find these universal answers, he explicitly states he synthesized knowledge across science, math, religious concepts, idioms, physics, numberology, cosmology, geography, and he says many more.
This suggests a mind that believes moral philosophy can and should be treated with the rigor of a mathematical proof.
That's a great way to put it.
He isn't just borrowing metaphors. He is attempting to construct a grand, unified theory of wisdom. Cosmology isn't just some background detail. It's the governing structure for internal thought.
And he uses diagrams, tables.
Right, which signals an attempt to quantify and prove concepts traditional left to faith, or intuition. It's an incredibly ambitious intellectual commitment.
Absolutely. The rigor implied by connecting physics and number theory to philosophy suggests that the ultimate wisdom he's seeking is meant to be objectively true.
And universally applicable.
Right. A comprehensive search for the operating system of reality itself.
Okay, so let's pivot now to where this ladder toward wisdom actually sits within SKR's overall structure. We're focused on Chapter 2, but it is housed within a larger section, Unit 0.
And Unit 0 is titled Legend Self-Improvement, which is important. It places our current deep dive squarely in the preparation phase. This is the training ground.
Exactly. Unit 0 sets the entire stage for internal transformation. It explains what needs to be enhanced before you can access true knowledge. The scope is about enhancing our internal energy as in form of soul present in our body.
So he's talking about the soul, or the core cognitive energy.
Yes. And the goal is to make that soul enlightened by wisdom process.
And the ultimate promise of this whole preparation unit is a phrase we need to keep coming back to. It's about building a mind powerful, which handle any situation.
That's the output. That's the goal.
If you complete this legend self-improvement phase, what you gain is radical cognitive resilience.
And the author lays out 4 necessary pillars in this Unit 0, showing us a very specific and logical required sequence for achieving that resilient mind. It's not random.
Right, it's a step-by-step process. So the first chapter deals with the mind itself. It details how food and other inputs influence powerful concentration.
The essential baseline preparation. You must first control the physical inputs. What you put into your body directly affects your mind's ability to focus.
Then comes our focus today, Chapter 2, Ladder Toward Wisdom.
This is the conversion mechanism. This is where you learn the technique, the actual process to turn raw data into useful power.
Chapter 3 then shifts to the application of that power, focusing on attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It advocates for cultivating a zero attitude or balance attitudes to tackle any problem or situation that arises. So this is the practical deployment of the wisdom you just learned to create.
And finally, Chapter 4 establishes the crucial high-level distinction between information vs. knowledge.
A key distinction.
A critical one. And this distinction, SKR argues, is the key to knowing the universe maker mind.
Wow.
Which is the ultimate goal of the entire system, understanding the creator's intelligence.
So Chapter 2 isn't just the useful step, it's the essential bridge. You can't skip it.
You can't.
You have to fuel the engine in Chapter 1, with the right food and inputs. Then you learn how to actually drive in Chapter 2.
Right.
Master the traffic rules, so to speak, in Chapter 3. And only then do you reach the destination, which is Chapter 4, understanding the universe.
Precisely. Without Chapter 2, you have a well-fed mind, but no ability to transform incoming data into deep insight. You're just full of useless facts.
So let's zoom in now on that critical conversion process itself. Section 3 is dedicated to defining wisdom, and it goes way beyond the shallow definitions we often use in society.
It really does. The chapter starts by challenging that typical societal view, the one that defines wisdom simply as a label.
A label given to intelligent persons who make himself unique status in his own society.
Right. It's a social construct. It's a status symbol. Oh, he's so wise. But what does that even mean?
Exactly. And SKR immediately asks the foundational question, what is wisdom, really, and how is it acquired?
And the working definition he provides is the absolute core of this deep dive. He says, wisdom is a process to convert information into knowledge by its own observational skill.
Okay, let's unpack that definition because it's deceptively simple.
All right.
It's not a fixed state. It's a dynamic, active process. And SKR uses a truly insightful analogy, what he calls the milk analogy, to clarify the relationship between these 3 terms: information, knowledge, and wisdom.
This is where it really clicks for the learner. I mean, this is the visual that makes it all make sense.
It is.
So we can visualize this analogy in detail. The raw starting material, right? The neutral data that exists universally. That is the milk.
So milk is information.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
SKR defines it as information. It is potential value, but it is not yet realized or applicable value. If you have 1,000 books on a shelf that you've never read, that is just milk.
Right, okay. Then the knowledge is defined as the realized potential, the specific, practical, and useful products you can get from that raw information.
That's the curd, the cheese, the butter, the sweet, and all its many products. It's the refined, application-ready output.
So using the book example, if you read those 1,000 books and then go on to design a space shuttle based on what you learned.
That's knowledge. You've processed the milk.
And wisdom itself.
Yeah.
this is the key,
Yeah.
is explicitly defined as the process of convert.
It is the mechanism. It's the technique, the skill set that you bring to bear using your own internal observational power to transform that neutral milk into all these varied applicable forms of knowledge.
It's just the alchemy.
It's the alchemy. It's the chef who knows exactly how to apply heat or acid or time to that one ingredient milk to create 100 different specific products.
I think we need to spend another moment on the implication this carries for you, for the learner. SKR stresses that a single information contains more than one knowledge hidden in that information.
This is the power multiplier of wisdom. It's so important.
It is.
Absolutely. Think about that single gallon of milk. A person with, say, rudimentary processing skills might only know how to make curd. That's one piece of knowledge they've extracted.
Okay.
But a person with profound wisdom, a powerful conversion process, can look at that same gallon of milk and see the potential for curd and butter and clarified ghee and multiple types of sweets and cheese.
They see 5, 10, 100 different things.
100 forms of useful knowledge from the same starting point. The power of your wisdom, therefore, is measured by the sheer diversity and utility of the realized potential you can extract from any given input.
So if you only see the surface-level meaning of a complex historical event, your wisdom process is weak.
Correct. But if you can see the economic implications, the sociological patterns, the psychological drivers, and maybe even the cosmological parallels,
Then your wisdom process is strong.
it radically reframes learning. It's not about how much data you consume or how many facts you can memorize. It is entirely about the transformative, multi-layered process you apply to that data.
It demands active engagement, not passive.
Wow. Always active.
That brings us to the crucial part then, the how. How do we actually cultivate this powerful conversion process? SKR provides a very clear 3-step ladder.
And step one is arguably the most counterintuitive and difficult, especially for the modern individual. Step one, skip the lists of attraction.
Skip the list. This starts with the prerequisite of isolation and detachment. SKR makes this huge, challenging claim that who live alone created history in his own life.
And this isn't just about physical solitude, is it? It's about mental freedom.
Exactly. He clarifies that the choice to live alone must be deliberate, by own choice, not forced on you by his society choice. The purpose is to become more serious towards his own life.
By skipping this world attraction, you free up the mental resources, the bandwidth, really, that's required for wisdom.
And the example he uses, Gautama Buddha, is perfect. Buddha enlightened himself by live alone to show right path to peoples of society.
He achieved his wisdom through radical self-imposed isolation and detachment. So this sets the stage right away. If you want wisdom, you must first abandon the things that constantly pull your mind outward.
And the critique immediately targets consumption, starting with what he calls the illusion of foods.
Right. And this isn't a treatise on nutrition. This is a commentary on mental slavery and time management.
Yes, if you prefer food whose taste is delicious, that intense focus on taste becomes an attraction. And that attraction, he says, makes you a slave of foods.
And SKR links this directly to the real-world cost. If you spend your time waiting in restaurants or food stalls for this highly desired food, you are literally giving away your most precious resource time.
They're getting lost in the illusion of foods.
I have to push back here slightly, though. I mean, SKR is equating the simple, communal enjoyment of a delicious meal with mental slavery and time wastage. Isn't that a bit extreme?
It is extreme, but you have to remember the context. His guru is Lord Shiva, the ultimate ascetic. For SKR, the goal is not comfort. It's radical efficiency. It's about eliminating all the micro-distractions that consume our cognitive bandwidth.
So the advice is,
Incredibly blunt. Prefer food for life, not to live for food items. It reduces eating to a purely functional necessity.
saving all that mental energy currently wasted on, contemplating menus and anticipating meals for other important works.
That exact same principle is then applied to the illusion of cloths. This is where he connects your wardrobe choice directly to your mental state.
It's fascinating.
SKR observes that if you have lots of cloths in one week versus preferring a single cloth in one week, the multiple choice signals confusion.
A monkey mind.
He calls it a monkey mind who not take good decision. The sheer act of choosing what to wear every single day is framed as a waste of mental energy that a legend mind simply cannot afford.
Conversely, choosing a single, clean type of cloth for life that demonstrates decisiveness, and it saves that time for, again, other important works.
And the examples are the ultimate icons of simplicity and singular focus. Lord Shiva, monks, saints.
Who wear one cloth for a whole life. It's about eliminating those daily friction points. Every single micro decision you don't have to make is energy saved for the wisdom process.
It's fascinating how he elevates this simple lifestyle choice, wearing a kind of uniform to a spiritual principle, something that signals mental clarity and profound decision-making power. It's the ultimate cognitive hack.
And this extends out into the grand list of illusions, which he devastatingly labels as the toys.
The toy.
This is the comprehensive catalog of worldly attraction. He lists them: assets, jewelry, gold, diamond, money, the beauty of persons, and many more things. The mandate for step one is simple. You must skip the entire list.
Now, we absolutely must spend extensive time on what he calls the kid critique,
Yes.
because this is the emotional, the critical, the sociological core of SKR's entire philosophy.
This is the segment that reframes our entire modern existence.
It does. The comparison is brutal, but it's psychologically precise. SKR says most people are like a kid lost their mind on toy shop.
Seeking desire, joy, and happiness through acquisition.
Billions of people, he says, are lost in this world attraction list, unable to focus because they're just so distracted by all the shiny things.
And this introduces his concept of adult infantilism. The text states that people are getting old by passing years, they are aging physically, but their behavior and minds, they remain stuck in the kids phase.
Their desires mature in size, maybe, but not in substance.
That's a good way to put it. They still want precious items to make himself happy by buying these items, but the items are now adult toys.
Homes, mobile phones, cars, bikes, gold, diamonds, assets, electronic gadgets.
The core mechanism is identical to the small child who throws a tantrum if the parents don't buy the toy they're interested in. The adult just substitutes the parent with their job and the toy with the precious item.
The psychological implication of that is just staggering. The emotional resilience of a modern adult is dependent on successful material acquisition.
Which SKR argues is the behavior of a confused child. It's a profound commentary on the immaturity that underpins modern consumerism.
But the critique gets substantially darker when he moves to the consequences, what he calls the dark side of desire.
Right. The pursuit of these desirable toys drives negative activity for many people around the world.
SKR links the failure of the wisdom process directly to criminality. This is a huge leap.
It is. He explicitly lists the negative behaviors driven purely by the desire for these adult toys. He says people become a gambler, thief, kill persons, robber, do exploitation of humans and earth, tell lies, and many more bad activities.
Which make them a criminal's personality in his own societies.
Just let that sink in for a moment. The author is saying that the pressure to keep up with the adult toy shop, the pressure to secure the car, the house, the gold, is literally fueling criminal motivation and corruption worldwide.
He's reframing huge socioeconomic issues as failures of the individual wisdom process.
Yes. People do jobs for the express purpose of buying these toys. And if the job doesn't suffice, they might resort to crime. It's an endless, morally corrosive cycle of labor and acquisition driven by childish desire.
This challenges the entire accepted structure of motivation in modern capitalism. We are told desire drives innovation.
And SKR argues desire drives degeneracy.
And here is the profound irony he points out, which challenges modern motivation. When a person does successfully acquire all these items,
Someone who has lots of toys in the form of house, assets, money, clothes, car, bike, jewelry, gold, diamonds, and many more costly items.
that person is not condemned. In fact, that person is called a motivational and inspirational persons by the world.
Society, according to SKR, rewards and validates the continuation of this kid phase. It holds up the accumulator of toys as a role model.
Which implicitly validates the pursuit of the very things that lead to mental slavery, time wastage, and even criminal behavior for those who fail to acquire them.
So step one is clearly a mandate to step entirely outside of this societal value loop. If you want wisdom, you must first refuse the world's definition of success.
It's a radical sacrifice.
But one SKR deems absolutely necessary to free the mind for its higher purpose: observation and conversion.
Okay, so once that grand list of attraction is successfully skipped, we move to the second, equally important step of the ladder. Step 2. Allow yourself having neutral or zero view.
This is the cognitive filter that must be installed after detachment. Having successfully cut the strings of attachment from the world's toys, the person must now adopt a neutral view as zero mindset.
A zero mindset.
The goal is to see both the positive and negative part of any things they encounter, to embrace a balanced view.
The zero mindset is a critical concept here, and it links back to Aryabhata's conceptual observation, which we'll get to. This is a spiritual principle applied directly to cognitive bias.
You're no longer swept away by attraction, which was step one, and now you must actively refuse to be pulled to either the positive extreme praise, infatuation, or the negative extreme of judgment and criticism.
SKR calls the neutral view, in short, the balanced view. The mandate is to make your own view of I to see the world in neutral ways.
This is essentially a radical filter against the constant positivity and negativity bias that just floods modern life, whether that's social media, news feeds, political polarization.
It's a philosophical tool for digital and social detoxification.
It is. And to illustrate this balance in detail, he uses the practical health-based analogy of the salt and sugar examples.
This connects physical health directly to mental health, which is a theme.
It is. He argues that the body provides the perfect analog for the mind. If a person takes less salt than needed, they suffer from a lack of salt disease symptom.
Right. And if they take more salt, they suffer from an excess salt disease symptom.
Both extremes lead to suffering and physical imbalance.
But the average person who prefers a neutral, proportionate quantity of salt has food whose taste is in balanced states, which leads to a healthy body.
And the same principle applies to sugar. Both lack and excess lead to disease, but the balanced way leads to a healthy person.
So the implication is applied directly to our internal perception. That's why person view of I should also look like neutral for any living and non-living things of the world.
Health in the body requires balance in consumption. Wisdom in the mind requires neutrality in judgment.
And the ultimate goal of this practice is achieving what he calls the salient state. The mandate is to stop passing judgment, positive or negative, and to allow oneself to remain in a salient state of mind.
The instruction here is very definite. Start your own perspective in neutral or zero views. Stop commenting on others' behavior, either the positive or the negative sides.
And only speak when it is necessary.
Silence, non-reaction, and non-judgment are the indicators that the zero view has been achieved. You are saving your internal energy from being wasted on unnecessary biased reactions.
This step demands the development of an extremely high internal threshold for reaction. You are literally retraining your mind to be an impartial observer rather than an active participant in the world's drama.
And only after achieving that radical detachment in step one and cultivating this absolute neutrality in step two, only then can the mind be sharp and focused enough to move to the third step.
Step 3. Start building your own observational skill.
The timing is crucial here. The step must be successful in the sequence. The person is now unburdened by worldly desire, they're unclouded by judgment.
Leaving the mind clean and ready to apply itself purely to observation, which is the core skill of the wisdom process.
And the author provides historical validation using two magnificent figures to prove the immense power of refined observation. First, the great mathematician Aryabhata.
Aryabhata represents pure conceptual observation. He was the first to find zero in mathematics discipline.
This is a profoundly significant example because the text continually stresses the necessity of the zero mindset.
Right. Aryabhata observed a conceptual truth, the concept of nothingness, of zero, that fundamentally transformed mathematics and all of subsequent global thought.
He observed a void and turned it into a foundation for complexity. The second example is Sir Isaac Newton,
who observed the simple, repeatable event of the fall of apple to give concept of gravity in Earth.
And through that one simple observation, Newton subsequently defined many laws.
Both examples highlight the exact same mechanism. The neutral, detached mind observes simple information, the concept of nothingness, a falling apple.
And through the wisdom process, the conversion skill, it transforms that neutral information into profound, complex, multifaceted knowledge, the laws of gravity, the mathematical zero.
This leads us to the consequence of successful wisdom application, what he calls the dual role of the enlightened.
Right. A person enlightened by wisdom acts like both teacher and student for gaining knowledge from information while observing their own nature surroundings.
They become a self-contained learning machine.
That's it.
They are perpetually learning and seeking new input, like a student, while simultaneously realizing, synthesizing, and applying that knowledge to understand reality, like a teacher.
Wisdom is defined as this self-improving integrated state. A person acting like a teacher and student by itself, it's the highest state of cognitive flow.
Okay, so we've climbed the entire ladder, we've shed the toys, we've adopted the zero view, and now we are observing and converting information into knowledge. So in this last section, let's synthesize this by decoding the wisdom acronym.
which SKR provides as a final, summarized definition of this state.
This acronym is really the logical culmination of the 3 practical steps, confirming that the entire journey leads to a clear internal path and powerful mental stability.
It ties it all together.
It does. So W stands for way neutral. This directly links back to the crucial necessity of step 2.
The requirement of having a zero view and adopting a balanced perspective. The method, the way forward, must be free from bias.
Then I stands for I.
Which is a strong statement of self-reliance. It emphasizes the personal, individualized, and necessary journey of self-improvement. It's my path, not one dictated by culture, society, or external religious dogma.
S stands for show. This represents the outward display, the tangible result of the path you've taken.
The success of the wisdom process has to eventually manifest, right, in the ability to handle situations and synthesize knowledge.
D stands for direction, path. The result of this entire process is a clear trajectory for the mind. The monkey mind of step 1 is gone, replaced by focus and clarity.
O stands for OF, which is the connector, linking the concept of direction to the individual.
And finally, M stands for mind.
Again, confirming that radical self-reliance, the direction, the path, the process, it all belongs entirely to the individual.
So when you combine all these elements, the ultimate purpose is revealed in the final combined definition. Wisdom, neutral way for myself to show direction or path of mind.
And this is the confirmation of that earlier promise. The mind powerful, which handle any situation. The entire purpose of the 3-step ladder is establishing the mind, which SKR explicitly calls the operator of any living being, on a balanced, powerful, and clear trajectory. A mind that operates from a state of zero attraction and zero bias is finally capable of executing its function perfectly.
Converting all incoming data into effective knowledge. What SKR has provided here is not just a philosophy, it's a precise algorithm for cognitive optimization.
It really is.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 2, let's quickly review the radical journey we just mapped out. The ladder toward wisdom is a 3-step process that requires profound internal reengineering.
First, the absolute rejection of the kid phase. You have to shed all attachment to the toys, the food, the clothes, the assets, the status that keep the adult mind trapped in continuous, distracting, consumerist acquisition.
And that is the hardest psychological break.
Without a doubt.
Second, the cultivation of absolute neutrality, the zero view. This means balancing your positive and negative judgments like salt and sugar in the body, achieving a salient state of non-reaction and focused observation.
And third, the application of that refined observation, which is validated by historical figures like Ariapada and Newton. This is the essential key to converting raw information into true, multifaceted knowledge. It's the mastery of the conversion process.
The most striking element of the source material for me, and the one that is just hardest to reconcile with modern life, is that radical reframing of desire. SKR doesn't just call material pursuit shallow. He labels it as a definitive barrier to enlightenment, a form of adult infantilism that keeps people mentally trapped.
And through the desperate pursuit of those toys, potentially drives them toward criminal behavior.
It forces you to question the entire definition of motivation we've been handed. If the ultimate goal is wisdom and self-mastery, the path requires shedding the very definitions of success and happiness that our world celebrates and promotes as inspirational.
It's a fundamental inversion of values, a complete flip.
And that leads to the final provocative thought for you to take away. This Chapter 2 provided us with the ladder toward wisdom, right? The mechanism for achieving internal knowledge.
The training manual.
The training manual. But the book's contents list chapters in Unit 2 on topics that are cosmic in scope. Things like the origin of universe, I theory, and the parallel universe, bead theory.
So if this ladder provides the foundation for the legend mind, a mind now neutral, detached, and powerfully observational, what radically different knowledge or insight will that mind unlock when it applies its newly acquired skill to the fundamental universal questions of cosmology?
What kind of reality does the mind of a legend build? And what universal truths are unlocked when your cognitive process is perfected? That's something for you to mull over as you observe your own surroundings today. Until next time.